The Whispering Pines. In the small, isolated town of Eldergrove, nestled deep within a forest of ancient pine trees, there stood a house known to everyone as the Whispering Pines. Legend had it that the house was cursed, but most dismissed the tales as mere superstition, until the fateful day that Dr. Emily Carson arrived. Emily was a historian specializing in the supernatural, drawn to Eldergrove by the stories of the Whispering Pines. As the local historian, she was intrigued by the house's chilling history and its sudden appearance in old records that had resurfaced. The townsfolk, wary of outsiders, warned her to stay away. They spoke in hushed tones of disappearances, unexplainable phenomena, and a chilling presence that seemed to linger around the house. Determined to uncover the truth, Emily rented a small cabin nearby and visited the Whispering Pines under the cover of darkness. The house, though long abandoned, stood tall and imposing with its cracked walls and overgrown garden. The air was thick with a damp, earthy smell, and the wind whispered through the trees as if speaking in a language only the forest could understand. As she crossed the threshold, the door creaked loudly, and Emily felt an unsettling chill. She lit a lantern and began to explore, noting the dust-covered furniture and the eerie silence that pervaded every room. Her flashlight beam danced across the walls, revealing faded, unsettling paintings of faces twisted in silent screams. Emily discovered a large, ornate mirror in the hallway, its glass covered in grime. As she wiped it clean, a strange sensation washed over her, like being watched. She shook off the feeling and continued her investigation, but the whispers seemed to grow louder, echoing through the empty house. The more she explored, the more she noticed that the layout of the house was not as it seemed. Rooms shifted, hallways led to dead ends, and doors that should have been locked were ajar. Every time she looked away from the mirror, it seemed to show something different: fleeting shadows, distorted figures, and eyes that watched her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. In the attic, Emily found an old journal. Its pages were yellowed and brittle, filled with frantic writings and strange symbols. The entries spoke of a malevolent entity that had been bound to the house by a ritual gone awry, a spirit of a child who had died in a tragic accident. According to the journal, this spirit was trapped in the mirror, and the whispers were its cries for help. As she read the journal, the temperature in the room plummeted. Emily felt a presence close by, and the whispers grew into desperate, incoherent cries. The mirror began to fog up, and a figure appeared, pale and gaunt, with hollow eyes and a sorrowful expression. Realizing the spirit was not merely trapped but had grown malevolent over time, Emily raced to find a way to break the curse. She found a hidden compartment in the attic containing a ritualistic dagger and an old, weathered book of rites. With trembling hands, she followed the instructions to perform a counter-ritual, hoping to free the spirit and put an end to the house's torment. The mirror's reflection twisted and writhed as she chanted the incantation. The whispers turned into a cacophony of anguished screams. Shadows swirled violently around her, and the temperature dropped to freezing. With a final, resounding incantation, Emily plunged the dagger into the heart of the mirror's reflection. There was a deafening crash, and the house seemed to shudder. The mirror shattered, and a wave of energy surged through the room, pulling the restless spirit away. The air grew still and quiet, and the oppressive weight that had hung over the house lifted. Emily left the Whispering Pines with a mixture of relief and sadness. The house stood silent now, no longer whispering its secrets. Eldergrove slowly began to recover from the eerie hold of the Whispering Pines, but Emily knew that the price of uncovering the truth had been high. The darkness she had faced was a reminder of the thin veil between the known and the unknown, and the whispers of the past would always linger in the corners of her mind.